The Oracl3 Network.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the fairgrounds.
Welcome to Active Shooter, a podcast that covers the whys, the hows, and the aftermath of active shooter and mass casualty events.
They have an active shooter in the building. A second call says they are being attacked.
I've been shot. 1692 means we got shots fired. 4:15 a.m. Route 91 sounded like an automatic firearm.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter
mass casualty incidents.
Thank you for listening.
You are listening to Active Shooter, a podcast that may contain adult themes, explicit language, and graphic depictions of violence. Portions of this show may be traumatic for those under 18. Listener discretion is advised.
It was over almost as soon as it began. Responding officers arrived only minutes after the shooting started, but when they got there, the gunfire had stopped. So the question now, why did it happen? Breaking overnight, tragedy in Tallahassee. A gunman opening fire at a yoga studio in Florida, killing 2 and wounding 5 others before fatally shooting himself.
According to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, yoga is an ancient and complex practice, rooted in Indian philosophy. It began as a spiritual practice, but has become popular as a way of promoting physical and mental well-being. Hot yoga is performed in a very humid and warm studio. Temperatures are set around 105 degrees. No matter which yoga method is done, the effect for most, besides being an incredible physical workout, is a grounded and mindful self, providing a well-balanced life. Escaping to the yoga studio, for most, is the place where they find their inner peace. The last thing one expects to see when they are in any kind of yoga class is the life-altering, unthinkable violence that unfolded at a Tallahassee hot yoga studio on November 2nd, 2018. 10 innocent people were attending a hot yoga class that evening, allowing the day's stressors and negativity to flow from their bodies as they stretched and sweated it out. Not a single individual walked into the class thinking that some would never walk out. Yet each of their lives were irrevocably changed forever.
Active Shooter the podcast is a High Five Holly production, and I'm your host, JT. If you've listened to our prior episodes, you know that the Active Shooter podcast team has taken the No Notoriety pledge, and we will not be sharing the real name of the shooters that we cover. We will be giving the shooters a pseudonym and refer to them by that name throughout the episode. This will help in clearing up any confusion in the story, while remaining true to our pledge and not naming the shooter by their actual name. In today's episode, we will be referring to the shooter as Evan.
The Tallahassee hot yoga studio, owned by Brittany Whittington, was located at 1950 Thomasville Road, on the second floor of a 2-story plaza. The studio was situated directly above a restaurant called Riccardo's, an Italian restaurant specializing in homemade breads, pizza, and a variety of other Italian cuisines. When you enter the yoga studio, there is a reception desk immediately in front. The actual room where the yoga classes take place is in a closed-off space, so the temperature can be kept very hot, with temperatures ranging from 90 to 108 degrees Fahrenheit. The room is kept this way to replicate India's hot, humid climate where the yoga practice originated. As mentioned, hot yoga is a type of yoga done in a hot and humid environment, making the participants sweat profusely, which is said to improve flexibility for stretching. It's also reported to clear pores, and as the body releases toxins through sweating, the metabolism speeds up. There were 10 people in the hot yoga class on November 2nd, 2018, when at 5:37 p.m., each member of that evening's class was faced with the most blood-curdling violence any human could imagine. Each participant of the yoga class was a target, yet no one was a target. There was absolutely no reason for this kind of devastation to be brought upon this particular class on this specific date and time. Not that there is ever a reason for a mass shooting or killing event, but there is frequently a reason the perpetrator chooses the site of their destruction. 10 innocent people went into class looking for a mindful workout. 2 people died. 4 were wounded, and the shooter pistol-whipped one before turning the gun on himself. Witnesses will live with the haunting images of their yoga class turning into a chaotic scene of murder and suicide, all within a matter of minutes. Before leaving for the yoga studio, Evan collected a 9mm Glock 17 Gen 5 semi-auto pistol and jumped in his 2015 red Chevrolet Sonic, departing from his residence. Evan hadn't even been to this yoga studio before, so why, or how he arrived at this particular one we can't possibly know. He arrived at approximately 5:18 p.m. for the 5:30 class. Evan registered for the class using his first name, but an alias as his middle name. He paid the $12 class fee using his debit card. After checking in for the class, he went outside on the landing in front of the studio, returning inside wearing socks and shoes, carrying a black gym bag. Staff at the studio told Evan that he couldn't wear his shoes during class, and asked that he place his gym bag in one of the cubbies in the foyer area. Exiting the class, Evan walked back outside and began pacing back and forth for a brief period. He re-entered the studio, telling one of the instructors he had a question. At the same time, he set down the gym bag, put on hearing protection, took the gun out of the bag, and started shooting. It wasn't a smooth move. Evan had to maneuver or jiggle the gun to get it to operate correctly.
They said that he came in and he had a black bag. He pulled it out, and as they went to go load it, everybody started pounding on the windows and on the walls to let people know.
When he began shooting, the class participants were in a, quote, child's pose, which is when you are kneeling and folding your upper body over your knees with your head down. Caught completely unaware, the yoga studios had stood little to no chance. 21-year-old Maura Binkley and 61-year-old Dr. Nancy Van Vessem were the first 2 shot, in the back and the back of the head, respectively. There was no time or opportunity to react or make a move in defense. Then Evan opened fire, unloading bullets at random in a fury of gunfire. He had no particular target. He was genuinely shooting anywhere and everywhere.
We just heard, like, pow, 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 and we saw some people running down the stairs.
The only male in the class, Joshua Quick, tried to stop Evan by picking up a vacuum and swinging it at him. Evan pistol-whipped Josh across the face, instantly exploding sensitive bones that caused his face to gush blood everywhere.
The yoga instructor walked over to assist him or do something, and that's when I heard her scream. I looked up, and I do not recall this, but I was told that I yelled, "He's got a gun." The only thing that was there that I could think of was this vacuum with a heavy end, and so as soon as he came around the corner, the gun stopped. I used that opportunity. I hit him over the head with it. The next thing I know, I'm grabbing a broom, anything I can, and I hit him again.
At one point during the rampage, Evan's gun malfunctioned. Several people managed to escape the class in those precious moments of quiet, amid the blasting of gunfire. One gunshot victim was injured, yet pretended to be dead. As she lay there, she heard Evan mumbling something to himself, but she couldn't understand what he said. Then she heard one final gunshot. Besides his last inaudible statements, Evan spoke no words during the shooting. The final gunshot that rang out was Evan shooting himself in the head. The injured person saw Evan lying on top of a dead victim. The sight must have been so utterly disturbing, nothing could erase such an image from one's mind. How could you stop seeing something so horrific? The first 911 call came through dispatch at 5:37 p.m. There were 8 total 911 calls made concerning this shooting.
911, what is the address of the emergency?
I'm at Hot Yoga Tallahassee, Benton Place.
Okay, what's the
off of
address?
Thomasville Road. Somebody came into the yoga studio with a gun and shot me.
We had a couple of people walk in saying there might be an active shooter down at the end of the...
Okay, is it down near the hot yoga by chance? Because we do have a call reference to someone who possibly shot himself.
Yeah, the hot yoga, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Have you guys seen anything down that way at all or heard anything?
We've got one person that was bleeding that came in.
I was not in the studio when there was a shooting. I am at Food Glorious Food, and the person who saw the shooting came into Food Glorious Food for help.
Okay, do you know how many people have been shot?
Around.
Yes,
people have been shot.
Okay, people have been shot.
People in Food Glorious Food.
Okay.
Yeah, are you involved? Did you see anything?
I don't see anything. I just see people looking out windows. And
yeah, we have EMS, we have everybody coming out.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Yeah, there's a certain place I was leaving, and a lady who came up all covered in blood saying, I've just been shot.
Okay, where is she shot at?
She's shot in her, it either went in her chest or in her back. I'm not sure. There's a hole on either side.
Okay, is she breathing?
She's breathing, she's talking, she's conscious, but she's very hurt, and she's bleeding badly.
Okay. Anthony, we've got multiple victims shooting to the chest.
We've got pressure on the windshield, way back in the back, way back in the front. Pressure on the windshield, pressure on the wound.
Okay.
Did anybody see a suspect?
Okay, hold on. The victim is on the phone with 911.
Okay, ma'am. Hello, 911. Okay, ma'am. In the leg.
I think I have like 3 shots. Please, sir, can I do it?
Okay, calm down, baby. We got him on the way, okay? We got him on the way. Are you in a safe place?
What's the store called? It's Hot Yoga Tallahassee. Wait, what's your store called? It's called Hot Yoga Tallahassee.
Okay, we got him. What's your name?
Yeah, but the shooter's still there. I think he shot other people, but I think
Okay. Do you have a description of the shooter?
Yeah, he was like 6 feet tall. He was wearing gray shorts. He was kind of chubby. He had a belly. He was wearing a headband. He came inside the room and he locked the door and he started shooting at everybody. And there's people down in the floor that he shot.
Okay, is people down?
Yes, like 3 or 4 people. 3
or 4 people. Okay.
The police responded within 3.5 minutes, which is a tremendously quick response time.
As we discussed earlier, we had a report about 5:37 this afternoon of a shooting occurring at this location behind me, 1900 block of Thomasville Road. Emergency responders were here within minutes, about 3.5 minutes. The first officers arrived on scene.
One of the wounded victims sustained gunshots in the left arm, left leg, and left torso. A bomb dog from the Capitol Police arrived, searching each car in the parking lot for explosives. A lockbox was found in Evan's trunk. It held an empty Glock 9mm magazine and many handwritten song pages. The handwritten pages were also located throughout the car, including the front passenger door's panel pocket, the front passenger area, and the trunk. When his hotel room was eventually searched, the handwritten pages were found there too.
They were very emotional. They just saw people get shot. It was a very emotional time for everybody.
In May of 2016, Evan searched for Tallahassee hot yoga for the first time. For reference, this was over 2 years before the shooting actually occurred. On August 17, 2018, Evan called the Tallahassee hot yoga studio. However, The staff doesn't recall the specific